with divided government, very likely you're looking at a lot of executive action. So what does that look like? It looks like rolling back a lot of the Trump-era executive actions, but I think all in all, it looks like a return to 2012, just sort of going back to where things were before.
Here's the question. Here's the question. Are they going to do anything more? And this makes me also so mad about the Trump years, which is they were so stupid they couldn't even do those things properly. Remember? They couldn't even rescind DACA properly. Couldn't do the census properly.
Couldn't do the Muslim ban.
Morons couldn't do a travel ban, which I support 100%.
I do not support at all.
It is stupid. It is a stupid phrase meant to trigger. It's a, you know damn well it's a whistle. Anthony, you're too smart for that.
Okay.
Well, he worked for Trump, so I don't know.
I didn't. Oh my God. Anthony.
Well, I mean,
you really think I should answer to you about my work history when you were Donald Trump's communications person willingly?
Don't be a hypocrite on national TV.
Okay.
Now, the truth of the matter is they're all right because they're all terrible.
Yes.
So they all have a point. But can you imagine having the conceit of your show being like, all right, here's the plan for the block. We're going to assemble some of the worst possible people. We're going to put them all on a panel together and have them yell at each other. That's going to really serve our audience's interest.
Yeah, I love that panel because what you're watching is grifting collapsing in and upon itself, right?
It's like a grifting black hole.
Eating each other. First, you
Vice President-elect Kamala Harris told a story from her childhood, which she attended her first civil rights march. She was apparently fussing in her stroller, and when her mother asked, "What do you want?" she replied, "Freedom." But this story looks like may have potentially been lifted from Martin Luther King Jr. in a 1965 interview with Playboy magazine.
Yeah, I have to hand it to Kamala Harris. In a town full of complete fakers, she has completely managed to outdo herself as the chief faker. And that was a high bar. This is Washington, the city of like completely inauthentic people. She's managed to pull it off.
Jen, one of the things I actually enjoyed about the Trump era is that everything the president said was under a total microscope. So he would tell these like completely BS stories about like his friend Doug and the price of which nobody even knows who Doug is or whether he even exists.
I don't remember. And the price of what?
Price of drugs and like the price of hell. I don't even remember what it was. This is from my White House correspondent days. So there was another one with the Paris Climate Accords where he talked about a friend who on the golf course, and again, no one could figure it out. And people called that out. You know, Daniel Dale and all these people made a lot of money over at CNN on that. But this type of stuff just goes totally unchecked by most people in the media. As far as I know, it's us and a bunch of right-wing cranks who are talking about this currently. I mean, we gotta see, we gotta see some level of scrutiny upon the next vice president of the United States here.
Sure. I'm not saying that it couldn't have happened twice, maybe it did. But honestly, I've known for a long time that a lot of elected officials and politicians and candidates, when they're running for office, use a lot of composite stories in their storytelling.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
I'm glad that it's out in the open now. I'm glad people know this story, but I think that we need to learn its real origins here, right? So, you know, it's not a good look to lift something like that and to use it as your own. But I'm also not 100% saying that it didn't happen again. Maybe it did.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Rachel, I have.
Before I get to that, I am officially COVID-free. I've been PCR tested, and I have paperwork, and if anybody wants to see it. But okay, so there was
you didn't use one of those White House tests.
It's not a White House test. I was like, I don't want the spit test. I was like, I want the real stuff. Shove it up my nose, and they certainly did. I can tell you that.
What do you mean by that?
We have already seen Iran sending spoofed emails designed to intimidate voters, incite social unrest, and damage President Trump.
So, very important message there, Krystal. What exactly was he talking about? Well, there was an email going around yesterday. Let's throw that email up there on the screen. Allegedly from the Proud Boys to voters, saying we are, first of all, from Proud Boys, got it?
Trump
or else. We are in possession of all your information. You are currently registered, and we know this because we have gained access to the entire voting infrastructure. You will vote for Trump on election day, or we will come
after you. Change your party affiliation to let us know you received this message, and we'll comply. We will know which candidate you voted for. I would take this seriously if I were you. Almost a cartoonishly fake email.
I take all emails I get from the Proud Boys very seriously.
Yes, exactly. And if I were to believe any of these things, I would no longer have any money because I would have given it all away to Nigerian princes.
Tom Cruise is mad about crew members not following COVID protocols on set. Take a listen to this.
And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too. And you too. And you. If you ever do it again.
Well, first of all, I can kind of relate. My fiance is literally the COVID police, and she makes me wear a mask when I see Tom Cruise on TV. Okay, let me be clear. So I can sympathize a little bit here. But I think much like with her and me, there is a middle ground. I respect what he's doing there.
Couldn't you make this point and make it strenuously and vigorously without being such a jerk about it? And also, actually, the part that I really didn't like is when he's like, "This is what I have to sleep with at night."
I was like, all right.
What are you talking about? You haven't suffered at all from COVID. So this is from the former head of Israel's space program, Chaim Ashed, who says that aliens have been in contact with the U.S. and with Israel, and they are hiding their presence because mankind is not yet ready.
Look, he's 87 years old. According to him, he says he has nothing to lose. He's a decorated former Israeli general, former space security chief. He's been awarded a medal 3 separate times, 2 secretly, for actions that kept Israel safe. Clearly somebody who was regarded well by that government. Now, what he's saying is kind of crazy. He says that the cooperation there's a secret pact between the U.S. government and the Galactic Federation, that the cooperation includes a secret underground base on Mars where there are American and alien representatives. This is where he starts to lose me.
That's the place?
That's where he's lost me.
The place where he lost me was at Galactic Federation.
So in the past month, as many as 250 million people, including various farming organizations and more, have taken part in protests across the country. With 300,000, they recently surrounded the Capitol in New Delhi, and they were met with some resistance, but they show no signs of letting up. So, Sadhana, just break this down for us from the very beginning. What are these reforms that are being passed? What's the defense of the reforms? What's the backlash against the reforms? And why is this significant about what's happening in India and Indian politics right now?
Great question. I presume we have about 2 hours for this, right?
Women for Trump supporters will march to the Supreme Court, urging President Trump not to concede. So far, state election officials have not reported serious irregularities with the vote that would affect the outcome of the race. That was in the teleprompter. I read it. I don't even know if I agree with it, but that happens sometimes.
Wow.
It was just
in a way, I sympathize. Sometimes I don't always agree with the prompter.
And obviously, if I stop patient 0 from being infected and I stop the pandemic, then that eliminates my motivation for going into the past. And that is the crux of the paradox, the grandfather paradox.
Mm-hmm.
So, what these sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Would you go ahead? Yeah, I had a follow-up question on time travel. And this is what he had to say whenever Tyler asked John Brennan about the possible existence of UFOs. Quote, "But I think some of the phenomena we're going to be seeing continues to be unexplained and might, in fact, be some type of phenomenon that is the result of something that we don't yet understand and that could involve some type of activity that some might say constitutes a different form of life." And as they point out, it's now not just
Georgia County that found a relatively small number of votes that had not been previously counted. Georgia, of course, going through a hand recount.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that they, as I understand this one, they misplaced a memory card with 2,755 votes. It wasn't enough to flip it, but you can also ascribe rank incompetence to local officials. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to the DMV?
To me, that's what this all underscores. When you actually look at the email and imagine yourself receiving that email, like, is that going to change your mind? No, it's not. And so I think it's important that we know what's going on. I think it's important we try to combat these efforts. We want to make sure our elections are as free and fair as possible, obviously. But the idea that this is like swaying massive amounts of voters in either direction is absurd.